Next here on the Town Hall for us this evening, the safety of our water. New questions amid what appear to be some coming new regulations. The State Health Department just announced a new proposal to regulate 23 different PFAS in water systems. They're so-called forever chemicals, and they come from a lot of different sources, from Teflon cookware to some firefighting foam, and they take a long time to break down in the environment. Under the proposed rules, water suppliers would have to test for those chemicals, keep them under certain levels, and notify the public about them. There is a public comment period for the next 2 months before the health department at the state level will come up with final rules. Joining us live right now is Rob Hayes, Director of Clean Water for Environmental Advocates of New York. We appreciate you taking some time for us. And so we said there that these chemicals take a long time to break down in the environment. That sort of seems to insinuate maybe they're not great for us to have in our bodies, right? What should the average person know about this, and why should they be concerned?
Well, the first thing to know about PFAS chemicals is that they're a class of chemicals. There are over 9,000 PFAS chemicals in existence, and many of them have been shown to be incredibly toxic to human beings. They've been linked to a number of harmful health effects, including thyroid disease and testicular cancer, kidney cancer. And you're absolutely right, they take incredibly long to break down in the environment. So once they get into our drinking water, they can stay there for a really long time unless we take action to get them out.
So if right now we're at this stage where there is this proposal to require testing and to start to regulate these chemicals, do we have an idea at this point how serious a problem this might be specifically in New York, or, specifically where we live here in Western New York?
PFAS is a huge problem in New York, and it's one of the greatest threats facing our drinking water right now. We've seen a lot of contamination crises in the state over the last several years, including in places like Hoosick Falls and Newburgh, and I believe Mayville out in Western New York. But the kind of purpose of the Department of Health drinking water standards that they just published is trying to regulate more of these PFAS chemicals in drinking water, put in place the standards that will clean up water when contamination is found. Unfortunately, the State Department of Health did not follow recent EPA science that can definitively confirm that there are some of these chemicals in our water that are unsafe at any levels. The Department of Health is not proposing to fully eliminate these chemicals from our water, and that means that at least 500,000 New Yorkers all across the state will continue to be exposed to these toxic chemicals when they turn on the tap. And that's why we're calling on Governor Hochul to really step in here, strengthen these proposals, and be the leader on this issue that New Yorkers need her to be.
Yeah, just to pick up on kind of what you said right there, your group obviously kind of has a point of view on this battle over these chemicals. I know you put out a release today calling the rules weak and ignoring EPA science. Is this, though, a first step forward in trying to limit the exposure to New Yorkers? Especially, it doesn't seem like there's been any serious action yet at the federal level. And I guess, what are other states doing? Are there, better examples out there?
Sure, you're right. There's been very little action on this issue at the federal level, and that's why it's so important for states like New York to lead. We really set the precedent for other states and the federal government about how to protect public health from toxic chemicals. And what's unfortunate about the Department of Health's proposal is that actually they have put forward, in certain instances, weaker PFAS protections than other states have put in place. Specifically, Maine and Massachusetts and Michigan have all proposed stronger PFAS standards than New York has put forward right here. New Yorkers should have the same protections, and in fact, stronger protections than folks living in these other states. We don't want to be falling behind where other states are, and that's why the governor should step in and really strengthen this proposal.
So often it seems we just kind of take for granted that what comes out of the tap is safe, and this is an important conversation. Rob Hayes is Director of Clean Water for Environmental Advocates of New York. Thanks for coming on and helping us better understand this thing that I think a lot of us don't understand. We appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.